Hello everyone, this is Rochelle Rosenberg. Welcome again to this Art and Faith channel in my Art 101. So today I'm gonna show you the grid technique. As you can see from all of my recent paintings, I usually use grids. I think that you have seen most of them has grids, and I begin with grids, especially in acrylic, in watercolor. And some of my drawings don't have that grid, but basically what grid is, it's an outline, right? So one of the most questions that we get as an artist is, does using a grid cheating? Is it cheating? But what I can say is no. Okay, so it just makes your drawing faster and accurate. So for instance, if you want to copy this image into a clean paper like this, then a grid on this paper would help you to draw it accurately. Alright? Right, so now we're gonna jump into the topic. So just be here. So anyway, thank you so much for being here and listening about this topic. It's very important for you beginners or enthusiasts about drawing to learn this kind of techniques so that you will develop your skills, right? So drawing is not a talent, but it is a skills because you gain knowledge at a time, right? So did you know that ancient Egyptians uses the grid method as a drawing tool to improve accuracy? So what they do is that they use a string. Okay, they use a string and then they dip it into a red color and then put it over where they're gonna paint a subject. Alright, so for example, if they want to paint it on a wall, then they put this thread against that wall and there will be the lines of the thread over there that it's gonna be red. Alright, so now we're gonna go a little bit about history. So that's the first history in Egyptian art, and in Renaissance period, about 14th to 16th century, artists uses grid techniques as well. So one of the most world known is Albrecht Durer, and Albrecht Durer uses a machine as a grid, but it is a wooden it is made out of wooden frame, and then there are nails around it. Alright, so the wood would look like this. It is a frame out there, and on every sides are nails. Okay, on every nails there's a thread connected to it. If they have a subject to draw, for example, this is something for them to draw, and they can place it in front of that subject and they could see exactly how to draw that on their own canvas. It's the same thing they do especially as well in portrait drawing. So that is not cheating, but it is an accuracy. Alright, so one of the things and very world-known artists that we can consider also using this kind of grid is Leonardo Da Vinci and Van Gogh. Right? When it comes to the grid, you can make an image larger as well. Alright, so there are different types of grid, but we're just gonna go to the grid that I'm talking about here. Right, so for the reference of this image, I want you to check my recent painting. It will be on the description box below. Okay, so I'm gonna show you one of the techniques that I do. So here was the picture that I drew recently. This is a portrait, and as you can see closely, there are triangular grids that I use. Alright, there's a triangular there, and there are straight lines. It's horizontal and vertical lines, and then there are as well the angular ones. Alright, so what this does is that I can have the best picture that I can draw, and I can find which kind of object is under this particular triangle, and I could draw it in this paper. If I want them to be in the same size, I can follow the same grid and the same size of the grid by measuring it with my ruler. Alright, and measuring it by ruler gives me an accurate measurement on how I can put this on my paper. If I want to draw it by pen or in a pencil, by pen, by color pencil, or acrylic or watercolor. So since watercolor is different, I wanted to resemble the image as if it was the same as the picture. But since I made different kinds of changes in the picture, as you can see, they don't look really the same, but they could resemble each other. And this is the way I want the picture to look. There are certain times that I want to copy exactly the picture, but there are also certain times I just want to express my expression towards that person in the picture. Alright, so as you can see here, I can show you closely. Here you can see that I have the lines over here. Okay, there's one up there, it still can be seen. And because this is a watercolor paper, in the beginning of the drawing, I actually put the grid first. Alright, I have to draw the grid first, and then I put on the tape over it so that it will stay while I'm painting, so that it won't go in itself, or it won't shrink or something. Okay, so since papers, they shrink whenever they get some water in it, so it must be taped on the sides. Right, so as you can see, if I turn this way, you also can see that I have grids here. Okay, the grids, actually I should draw in this part, but since this was not the rough part, this was the rough part, so I made a wrong move from that beginning. So anyway, there are grids that I uses. And one thing about the grid is also this one. I can show you how we can deal with these pictures. Alright, there are many ways on how to draw this, but I'll show you one technique that you can learn. I hope that you can see it. Alright, so let's get my ruler again. So this is a cup. There are many ways I can draw this. I can either distinguish the shape that I see here. The first shape that I can see is the triangle. Alright, so I can draw a triangular size. I can draw a triangular size like that. So it doesn't matter if it's overwhelming like straight line. Okay, so in that sense, I have a triangular line, and I can put it this way. Alright, this is a triangle, and over here is I can use lines to distinguish where I'm going to draw them. Alright, so that's how I usually do. But there's also another way of doing it. Okay, now we can use the grid, but I'm gonna use this darker pen. We can divide this into 3, so we can measure it, and we're gonna start with the 0 to 14. So maybe we can adjust it by 4, something like that. Alright, and now we can divide it into the line like so. And now we have done the vertical line. We're gonna go the horizontal. Okay, now the horizontal line is easier. Maybe we can divide this into 4 parts. Okay, so 4 parts. We're gonna start in the middle. You also have to measure it so you'll know where to go. Alright, like so. So it depends on how you want it to draw. Okay, you can divide it into 4, or you can divide it into 3 horizontal lines, or you can do both. Alright, so long you are using the grid. So now we know that as we draw it in this way, I can actually put that in this paper. Okay, so on this paper I can draw some lines as well. Alright, so I can divide the lines into 3, let's say like that, and then here is 4. Okay, so in these 4 grid lines, I can decide here where does these things gonna go. Alright, so now we know that it's going to be in that sense, and then okay, it's gonna be out there, and then we're gonna go just right there. Okay, so that's how it looks like, for example. Alright, so now as you can see, that's how I started with the grid lines. Alright, but how are we going to draw this flower? I think it's also the same with the flower. You also can use the grid line if you want different kinds of.
Okay, so now we're gonna start with the flower. If you want an accurate, you also can make it a large triangle. Okay, first we can start by making an X over it. Okay, from the edge corner to the top corner, we can go directly like that, and the same thing with the other side. Let's go on to the corners and just draw it. So now you can see that in the center is just right where the circle is. Okay, so we're not gonna look at the flower as a complicated subject. We're gonna look at it as shapes. Alright, so we know that at the center of the X there's the circle that covers the first line of the X. Okay, now we're gonna go to the center, and then we're just gonna grab a straight line this way, and we're gonna make a cross, right? So just the same line in the center. Right, now we know that in the center line, okay, now you see that in the center line we got the circles and we got different kinds of shapes of oval here. So we know that in this side we can start to draw this part. Okay, and we can also try to navigate those details, or maybe the shades, the darker shades, and to the light highlights, right? So that's how we are learning to draw. Okay, and in this paper I didn't use any grid, but I use shapes. Okay, I have a picture that I can show you how I did this kind of images, and I actually took that picture from my work. So I'm going to show you how it really looks like in the real life, and I hope that you will learn something from this drawing, because it's really important for me to know that you are learning and that you are actually grabbing something from my drawings. All right, it's just so not easy to find the picture. There it was. So here is the original picture of the drawing. Okay, so what I did here, I didn't use the grid lines, but I could only imagine already the grid lines, so I divided it into 3 just in my imagination. You know, it takes practice for you to learn the grid lines, so I used the grid lines in my imagination, and I divided this into 3, and then I covered up the shapes. Those are flowers that are round in shape, so I took them and draw round in each, you know, and that's how I colored it into something, into this paper. All right, so I hope that you have learned something, and I hope to see you again next time. If you are new to this channel, please like and subscribe, and if you are not wanting to subscribe, it's okay with your comments below. Just leave your honest comments and tell me what are your thoughts about the grid lines, and if you have ever used them before, then I'd be glad to learn your techniques. All right, and by the way, if any of you wanted to join this Facebook group that I created, you are very much welcome to join, and it won't hurt. So you are very much welcome to join this. Right, it is called YouTubers Team Together. Okay, and you are very welcome to share it to your friends. If you are a new YouTube channel, you can learn from all of the things that I have been learning for the past years since I opened my channel, right? And on my page, I have Rochelle Rosenberg journal, so you are very much welcome even there to share all of your photos or your drawings. So that's it. So God bless everyone, and see you again.